Ooh, what up, no? It is another Thursday. It is Knockouts and Three Counts, and man, do we got a guest for you tonight. We've got the debut of Ernest the Cat Miller. Somebody call my mama, but before you do that, you got to talk about our sponsors of this show. That's Potter's Tree Service. As you can check out from this video here, if you're in the need for tree trimming, tree removal, chipping service, storm damage cleanup, walnut logging, or lot clearing, Potter's Tree Service is the way to go. They have been back in the show a long time. If you got anything going on in the need of tree removal or any of that stuff, you don't got to call Hacksaw Jim Duggan. Hit up the homies over here at Potter's Tree Service and enjoy the show and don't blink. All right.
This is the Ring of Honor, a.k.a. Shane T, boy, the baddest champion you ever seen, boy.
This is Mr. Anderson.
This is good old JR Jim Rock, and you are listening.
You're listening to Knockouts and Three Counts.
Cover! We got a new world champion!
That might be one of the craziest knockouts I've ever seen in my life.
Knockouts and Three Counts is the podcast, baby! It's the real deal, baby!
Knockouts and Three Counts starts now.
What up, no? And just like that, we're back at it again. If you missed our episode last night with Kenny the Boss Cross before he steps into the cage in XFC this Friday in the Masonic Temple downtown Detroit, make sure you hit that button, hit that subscribe button. But like I told you, today we've got a debut episode for you. A guy who, if you guys have been following us, you saw we got to chop it up at the Unbreakable Bunch premiere that was here in Michigan at Canton, at the Imagine Canton. We've got the debut of Ernest the Cat Miller, man. Appreciate the time, and look at what he's got there. Ultimo Dragon and Sonny Ono as well. He's got everything there. Who we got? We got Raven as well. I like it. I like it, man. Look at that.
How about this? Who is this?
Let me see if I can see close enough. Is that Mikey Whipwreck?
There's him. There's him. And
you can tell.
And this is the man. This is the man himself, the cat, baby.
Hell yeah, you gotta love it. You can tell I've watched a little bit of wrestling. So, like I said, appreciate the time, man. It's great to have you on the full show. As you can see, he's got the background in there for you. Make sure you're checking out the Cat's Corner podcast
Cat's Corner,
as well.
Baby. Yes, yes.
That's as good a place as any to start, man. Talk to me about how you got in the podcast game. What made you want to start the Cat's Corner?
Man, you know, it's like being in the business. I get the random phone calls from Goldberg, Bret Hart, you know, Sting, Sonny Ono, Stevie Ray. And these are some of the phone calls I get just shooting the breeze, you know, and I started saying, you know what? I got all these friends and we got all these good stories. I was like, well, let's let some people hear. You know, I wanted to be that person that somebody can walk by my open window and hear me and one of my friends talking and they get an earful and be satisfied, be entertained, just listening to us talk. So I said, let me start a podcast. We need to get some of these stories out there to the people.
Well, tell me a little bit about that. You know, you and I got to chop it up on the phone the other week and talking about some of those conversations. What are some of the ones that stick out to you? Because you were telling me how you not only got wrestlers on there, but you got entertainers and everything else.
Oh, okay. You're talking about some of that thing. Man, just a lot. Every story, I got over 30 interviews right now. We put out 9, and we just trying to see. We might have to go back and kind of re-release those 9 we put out because I don't think enough people have seen them yet. We got Goldberg, Mark Henry, O'Shea Jackson, Ice Cube's son, who is a huge
wrestling guy.
So we got all these people, man, they tell us some good stories, you know. So every interview I did have done been pretty good to me because it was a conversation with somebody I know.
Those are the best ones, man, when you're just chopping it up, man. You know, that's somebody that, right. You know, I mean, one of the guys that I got a lot of inspiration for, shout out to past guest of this show, Chris Van Vliet. You know, he's a guy who a lot of my interview style and stuff like that, you get the best stuff. It's, you know, when you have people being all uptight and all that stuff, it ties them up.
Isn't he a podcaster? I mean,
he is. He's an Emmy award-winning broadcaster. So he came in from the world of broadcasting, but started his own channel interviewing wrestlers and stuff.
So I don't understand. This is one thing, and it's not him, but this is one thing I see in the wrestling business. A lot of people from outside of the business that probably didn't do as good into something else, they drop in on the wrestlers and start feeding off the wrestlers and coming up off the wrestlers. They get themselves over by involving themselves with pro wrestling. You know, and I go to some of these meet and greets and I see some of the top wrestlers around, I mean legends. And then they got the take care of people, and they got the caretakers. And, and the caretaker doing the big talk. It's talking like they're the superstars. People are not there to see them. They're there to see the wrestler. We need to stand up and take this business back and demand to be treated like the legends that we are instead of just somebody who bringing me out. Oh, he bringing me out to see his sign autograph. Yeah, he bring you out to sit there and sign autograph so he can meet other people through you.
And that's the thing. That's one thing. A lot of our interviews we've gotten to do, we're thankful for the Comic-Cons here, like Astronomicon and things like that, where we've gotten to talk with the likes of Matt Hardy, Matt Riddle, stuff like that. But you just hit on one of the biggest things that we've always tried to stick true to here on Knockouts and Three Counts. Obviously, it's an honor for us to be able to talk to guys like you and some of the fighters that we've had on the show and all those things. But you're not here to listen to me. You're here to listen to the stories that we're bringing. So I agree with that 100%. And like I said, we're appreciative of your time. We got a lot of stuff that we've got to hop into here tonight on the show. Well, with that said, we talked a little bit about the Cat's Corner, man. You told me that you've got a few episodes out and you've got a lot in the tank. Are there any stories from any of those guests that you...
Oh man, I got
that Eric somebody to check you out.
I got Eric Watts and Cowboy Bill Watts. I got, they tell some of the great stories, man. One, the story about how Eric tells the story about how he grew up with the Von Erich family. How he grew up with Ernie Ladd hanging out at his house. And I mean, it's just some great stories, man. All of them were good. And one of the last guys I had on there was Ice Train. Him and I just
King Parsons, right?
No, not Ice Train. Harry
Okay, I got you. Okay.
Yeah. I think that her last name, but he was Ice Train. He passed away a couple of months ago. He passed away a couple of months ago. He worked with us at WCW, big time wrestler, very athletic guy. He had a heart attack in California and passed away. But the week before, we had a podcast and we were just joking and laughing and talking about life and the time we had in wrestling and let's do part 2 of this. And Nathan, a week later, they called me and said, hey, he passed away last night. So all the stories I have and the episodes I have good stories involved with them.
You got to love it, man. Rest in peace to Ice Train, man. I could definitely relate on the heart attack thing. I've actually, like you and I have been talking about off the air, I've been dealing with one of those with my mom the last few weeks. So I can totally relate with that. Well, I talked about you and I getting to meet here at the Unbreakable Bunch movie premiere. Talk to me a little bit about that. What's been the response you've gotten back so far from the movie? Shout out to you guys for having us out to cover it. I enjoyed it. I had a good time, but what have you gotten back so far?
That it's a fun movie. It's a fun movie. The ones who've seen it probably saw it 2 or 3 more times, and they looking forward to maybe, Unbreakable 2, So, I mean, it was a good movie. It was a good sci-fi movie. It was fun, and it was fun making it with a bunch of friends.
I could tell that vibe, and that was something for those of you guys who are new here. Make sure you hit that subscribe button. We also got to talk with Glacier and King Haku as well, and that's one thing that both of them said when we chatted with them as well. Is just the message of camaraderie that you guys wanted to get out of that movie. And I gotta love it, dude, because I'm not gonna lie. My dad was a big fan of the movies like I'm Gonna Get You Sucker, Blazing Saddles, like that kind of stuff. Man, and it definitely gave me like I'm Gonna Get You Sucker vibes, and like
those was my favorite movies, man. Those was 2 of my favorite, Blazing Saddle and I'm Gonna Get You Sucker. Good movies.
Man. Remember when he went to look at the badges? This one was for typewriting, and this one was for surfing, and this one was for crocheting. Man, that movie will never get old, man. My
Never,
dad had me
never.
watching all that stuff, and we're talking about
Never.
movies that are
Those
older.
movies like that couldn't even be shown now, man. They'd be completely canceled or erased. But they had some of the best part of that would not fly today. You know, some of the best parts in the movie.
You know, when I put up the promo for you coming on the show, you know, some of the questions we got, and, you know, like I said, we also are a combat sports show, so it makes sense.
I'm not going to answer those questions. I want you to.
No, I wanted to ask about one of your movies. So we had a question about one of your movies with Blood and Bone. You know, like I said, we're a combat sports show, but one of our fighter guys was asking about it, and he was like, you got to have him tell us about working Blood and Bone with Michael Jai White.
Listen, Michael's an incredible martial artist. And, you know, so when Michael called me and asked me to play this part of Mama Dearest in there, of course, I jumped right at it because, you know, Michael and I grew up together doing martial arts, you know, where he had his black belt, in Connecticut. So, you know, we've been friends for a while. So he just asked me to come out and did I want to be a part of this movie he was making. And he had one of my friends on there, Bob Sapp. So Bob Sapp said it was a fun shooting. You should come out and do it. So I went out there, man. And you know, it's so funny. I shot that movie. I was shooting that movie at the same time I was shooting the movie The Wrestler. So they both came out around the same time. Of course, the movie The Wrestler did huge numbers, you know, and I almost won the Grammy, you know, and not the Grammy, but the Oscar. So, So when the movie was out, I remember coming home and everybody stopped me who saw the movie. They loved the movie, The Wrestler. But when I got back to Atlanta, this young guy stopped me. He said, hey, man, you're Ernest the Cat Miller, right? I said, yeah. He said, you in one of my favorite movies. So I said, oh, man, you like Mickey Rourke? You like The Wrestler? He said, what, The Wrestler? He said, no, I'm talking about this movie, Blood and Bone, where you played, you know, Mama Dearest. Man, that movie is over. Everybody loved that movie, man. That movie did some great numbers too. It didn't do what The Wrestler did, but they did some great numbers. And they still do it. I'm still getting checks from those two movies. But the funny part about this too is I just finished another movie with Mike that'll be coming out this soon, and it's a good fight movie too. Mike finally get to beat me up in the movie. You know, and
got to give you that receipt.
Now this was fun. We've been friends for so long, you forget sometimes. You know, we were running on the track, and he like, hey, you know, Michael White said, hey man, you know, I'm about to shoot a movie here in Atlanta. I said, oh, that's good, man. And he said, I got a part and I want you to play. Then I said, what part is that? He just said, where's the part you play a hitman and the big boss man send you to get me? And I said, oh, okay, all right. And I said, that sounds good. And he said, yeah. He said, but I don't think that's gonna work out for you. I said, okay, all right. But anyway, it's a good movie, man. Wait till it's come out. It's fun. Got a lot of big names in there, a lot of guys in there that are funny guys. So it's gonna be a good movie coming out pretty soon. It's called Troubled Man.
Troubled Man. Well, it sounds like there's trouble if they're sending the cat to do some getting some dead state off, man. If you're being the hitman, it's a problem if the cat's coming through, man.
It should have been a bigger problem, but yeah, it was a problem.
I love it. Well, dude, you brought up The Wrestler. That was another thing I wanted to ask you. Talk to me about that movie and what are your thoughts now that we're so far removed from it? Because that was one of the first movies I got to see you in.
You'll never be removed from that movie. That's such a great movie, man. If you're a wrestling fan, or if you're a fan of just storytelling, listening to people tell, that was a good, Darren Aronofsky told a good story. And it was a good wrestling movie. You know, it was dark, but, and I don't know why people do that, man. They talk about the movie they got out now, The Claw. Everything is so dark, man. Everything is so dark around wrestling. Like, that's what people like to see. They like to think that we are so dark. Everything happened bad to wrestlers. When it's not, man. I had a good career, a fun career. I had a fun 8-9 years wrestling career, and it was really fun. I did some great things, man. It took me all over the world. I met great people, made a lot of money. You know, it did a lot of good things for me.
You can tell, man, and it's sad to see that because that is one of those cases. Unfortunately, with the Iron Claw, I feel like there's only so many ways you can go with that one with the story of the Von Erichs. But since you brought it up, man, you being a movie guy, what did you think of that movie? Because we got to have Miranda Gordy, Terry Gordy's daughter, on here to see what she had thought and things like that. What did you think?
Well, I'm gonna tell you what I really thought about that movie. I haven't seen it.
Hey, man. It's all good. Like I said,
I
just wanted
haven't
to see
gone
what you
and
thought.
said. I know the stories. I know the family. You know, I was there, and I heard all the stories about the family. So why go see somebody tell a piece of the story? So I just didn't. I wasn't interested in seeing it. You know, but some people like it, some people don't. You know, and I just stick to the stories I know about the family.
I feel that, like I said, just had to ask with knowing that you're a movie guy. But, you know, one of the things that I definitely wanted to get more in depth with you with, since we got to chop it up with a little bit, you know, before we talked a little bit about karate combat and we talked about your journey into wrestling. Can you take me a little bit more into that? Like you coming into wrestling, how'd you come over from the world of combat sports and how'd that all come to be? From what I know, did it not have something to do with your relationship with Bischoff?
What?
Somebody was saying something about Bischoff having something to do with you coming from karate. And all that stuff,
it's not like no Vince McMahon shit. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't no Vince McMahon kind of stuff. You know, you ain't got to make love to get a job, you know. So no, Eric had nothing to do with it. Eric just saw the talent in me and said, hey, that would go well on our show. So the way that would really started was I had about 3 or 4 years traveling around, trying to play NFL, got signed into a few football camps, Atlanta Falcons, New Jersey Generals, New England Patriots. I had tryouts with all those guys. So once that didn't pan out, didn't work out for me, I decided to come back, get back into karate that I started when I was 11 years old, competing in tournament. So I came back home, went back to college, took a couple of classes while I was in college. I started by teaching. Well, I started taking karate at the end of my journey, football, trying to play football up in Connecticut, where I went to find a karate school near my house, West Haven Karate School, and had Michael Jack White, one of the students there. And I made a lot of good friends. So I started by competing there and doing tournaments, and it went pretty well. So I ended up on one of the national karate team, Paul Mitchell national karate team. And he had all the best fighters around, and he'll pay us just to travel the tournament. So, that worked pretty good. So I had a little job. So I moved back home to Atlanta, and started teaching karate and competing on the weekend. And then, Nathan, I went into kickboxing. So I had like 8 or 9 kickboxing fights, and I was undefeated. I won the kickboxing championship. And the part of it, I noticed that, I would win in all these fights, but I wasn't getting paid any money. You get paid $2,000, $3,000 just to train for 6 months. It was hard training. So I decided, you know what? I'm going to start teaching karate more and work with the student. And I had a student that was Gary Bischoff. His father was Eric Bischoff. And I knew nothing about Eric. I didn't know who he was, didn't even know his name. I just met his son that was one of my karate students, and he grew kind of fond of me. And we decided, that this kid is pretty good, so I'm going to continue to help him grow. And Nathan, he's talking about his father knew karate and was his big black belt. His father came in and met me, and we decided to have he came in on one of the days. This is the funny part. Teaching karate, you got a lot of kids there, but you got a lot of parents that live through their kids. Mm-hmm. And some of the fathers will come in there and act like they knew everything about martial arts. So I was used to some of the fathers coming in there, and talking big like they knew a little bit, but it was from the sideline. So one day I looked outside and this he had dark hair, the whitest teeth I ever seen. He came in and he had a karate gi under his arm. He said, "Hey, can I work out with you guys?" And then Garrett said, "Yeah, that's my dad." And so I said, yeah, you can work out with us. I said, "Today is sparring day." He said, "Okay, I'll spar." So the way we spar, we'll line up all the black belts on one side, starting with the youngest all the way down to the best. And that was me on the end. So Eric started over in line in front of the first black belt. Bang, bang. He beat that guy up. He beat the next guy up. He beat the next guy up. And then I started taking notice of him because he was actually really good. I'm like, this guy's a brawler. He was like a real fighter. So I was kind of watching him as I was working with somebody else. And then when he got down to me, I said, you know what? I got to show this guy that I got to teach this guy a lesson. Because if he walk away now, he can say, "Hey, how can I send my son back to that school and I beat up all the karate teacher?" So anyway, Eric and I started to spar. And Eric was throwing some real fast technique. And they looked good, but he was no match for me. Somebody I lived karate. I did karate all the time. He was no match. So he'd do a kick. I'd block it, kick him with something. And then Nathan, I heard a little voice saying, "Come on, Daddy." And I noticed that with my karate student cheering for his father. So I said, you know what? This is not a tournament. So I just started playing around, flipping. He'd try to sweep me. I'll flip over, do a backhand flip. I'll jump up, do a kick over his head. I was just showing off. Yeah, just showing off. Then when it was over, Eric shook my hand and said, "Hey, man, you very, very talented. You're athletic. You're good looking. You can talk." He said, "You might need to come and work with me." And I said, "What do you do?" He said, "I work with WCW, World Championship Wrestling." I said, "Be a wrestler?" And I said, "I don't know if I can do that, Eric." He said, "Why?" I said, my whole life I've been taught to be real. Anything you do in the ring, if you hurt, you don't show pain. If you're tired, you don't show the opponent that you're tired. You got to be a real tough guy. But now here you are asking me to show all those things, even when I'm not. So I don't know if I could do that. But then he looked at me and said, "Hey, I can make you a very wealthy man." I said, "What, very wealthy? How wealthy is that?" He just said, let's just say I can set you up to where, you come in and do what I think you can do, and you'll be well taken care of. So, about a year or two later, I found myself in WCW. And let me tell you something about Eric Bischoff. Eric Bischoff did everything. He's one of the only person in my life who did everything he said he was going to do before I ever made that change over from teaching karate, from karate to wrestling. Because I had to talk to a lot of my friends about making that move. It's like, okay, I'm on Paul Mitchell National Karate Team. I'm teaching karate all day, and I'm making all right money, teaching private classes. I'm making all right money. I'm happy. But this right here is a different kind of money you'll be making. And besides that, your students will listen to you more because now you're not just their karate instructor. You this big pro wrestler on TV. So anyway, I got talked into it. So I went over to WCW. And that's how I found my way into it.
That's awesome, dude. Well, you like you said, you were right in there with the thick, and it's awesome to hear that from Eric Bischoff because we've actually gotten to interview him here on the show a couple times. Him being a Michigan guy, it's good to hear positive things about our guy Eric Bischoff. Well, with that being said, dude, tell me a little bit more about your time in WCW, man. You got to be there right in the thick. You got to do a lot of cool stuff. Now that you're removed from it, what are your thoughts on your run in WCW?
I was so new to the business. Think about it. They told me that when I got to WCW, they were going to teach me how to wrestle. They were going to teach me the business. I knew nothing about the business at all. But when I got there, they put me into the power plant with Jody, Pez, Watley. They put me in there with all the good guys that trained me. But I stayed in there 2 weeks before I was on Monday Night Nitro. You know, and with Glacier and those guys. I ended up on Monday Night Nitro because they needed somebody to do karate, and that was right up my alley. So I went straight from 2 weeks in to Monday Night Nitro. And, you know, but the thing was, I tell everybody, man, how could I have not been successful in that business at that time? Would have been crazy. So why? I said, you got Ric Flair, you got Dusty Rhodes, you got Macho Man, you got Hogan, you got Disco Inferno, you got Bobby Walker, Stevie Ray, Harlem Heat. You got all this talent around you and experience. All that I had to do is, when they set my match up, talk to the guys. What do you think I should do? Terry Taylor, man, these guys were so smart. They tell me this. I wasn't that kind of person to sit back and think I knew everything. You know, it's like, okay, I don't know what to do. Okay, they want you to go out, you get a win, 1, 2, 3. And I was trained that though. I trained live TV with Brad Armstrong.
Brad Armstrong.
Yeah. He was one of the top guys where I've never seen the whole time there, before and after, I never seen anybody like Brad Armstrong who can work a crowd in the ring, man. He was just really good to work with. So he got me ready and prepared for it. And, you know, but when you look at that whole career, the whole time I was there was full of up and down. It was some crazy ass guys there, man. I mean, crazy, man. Crazy things will happen on the road. On the trip there, you know, on the trip back, you know, people fighting, people angry, you know, it was just a crazy up and down kind of ride, you know. But at the end, I look back on it now, it was during the best time in wrestling. People said it was the Monday Night Wars, you know, going on between WCW and WWE at the time.
Well, do you think with you coming over from the fight game, do you feel like that kind of helped prepare you for wrestling?
That actually, if I got lost in the ring wrestling, I know how to fight. So what would you do if this situation was a real fight situation? That kept me moving. That kept me moving during the process. So yes, that helped a lot, man, being a real fighter.
I figured it would, man, because that's one of the things, man. I feel like growing up through the fight game. I started around fighting when I was 13, and I feel like in a way it gives you, if you're around it long enough, it gives you a element of street smarts.
First of all, I'm gonna tell you this: you can't compare your fighting to my fighting.
Not at all.
You know what I'm saying? Well, you just did.
I didn't mean that. My bad.
Okay. Well, you need to bag up and know your position, know your role. Okay.
Yes, sir.
I'm the cat. I'm the world karate champion. I'm deadly. You play around. You probably couldn't even beat I got a 13-year-old girl in my class probably beat your ass. You don't ever put yourself in the same category fighter.
I didn't mean it that I was on the same mentality. I just meant through growing up in boxing, all I meant was that I feel like it helps you with mentality for life. That's all.
I don't care what you meant.
My bad. Okay. Like I said, it wasn't meant to be disrespectful. Okay. Well, let me ask you some of the questions that we're getting here in the comments.
Man,
one of the questions
I don't want to hear the fans, man. I'm tired of the fans. I don't like fans. You understand what I'm saying? I don't like fans. You tell me what you thinking in your head. You interview me.
I've got questions. I was just following along with our comments.
You got the cat on your show. Use me.
I got you.
And why you breathing so hard? What you doing over there, man? What you doing over there? Put both hands up. You breathing too hard.
I'm good.
All right, yeah.
I'm just controlling I'm the only one controlling everything, so I'm just moving around I'm just controlling the stuff on the side. That's all.
Okay, all right, go right ahead.
I got you. My bad. Like I said, didn't mean to catch you off guard. Like I said,
you did. Hey, you didn't catch me off guard. I'm a ninja. I'm a black ninja. You understand? I'm a black ninja. You can't catch me off guard. I'm deadly. Go ahead.
I respect it. Okay. Like we was talking about with WCW, one of the things that I got to talk to you about a little bit briefly when we chatted at the Unbreakable Bunch movie, you know, I just was going back watching some old WCW Nitro a few weeks ago. One of the things that you talked about that was one of your favorite things you got to do in your time in WCW was working with James Brown. Can you tell me a little bit about how that came to be? I know you said it was one of your favorite things, but how did that whole situation come to be?
Okay, kid, shut it down. Let me answer.
Yes, sir.
James Brown was probably one of the most entertaining superstars that ever come and do anything with pro wrestling. It's a shame how people did not pay attention to what we had in the ring that was going on that day at a pay-per-view. We had James Brown in the ring with the cat. So, I mean, it was a big deal to me, but they didn't tell, it was a secret to everybody else. They didn't announce James Brown will be here next week. They made it a surprise thing. He just showed up, but we had worked towards that. So, they didn't make a big issue out of it. But now when people go back and watch it, they see like, oh man, it was so entertaining, man. With James Brown, man, we in pro wrestling. Everybody know pro wrestling is a bunch of hillbillies, a bunch of rednecks. And here we are with two black guys in the ring just entertaining, dancing, and having a good time, and the rednecks were cheering. They forgot that we had two black guys in the ring.
You're just talking about the overall entertainment and making people forget. That's the best part of
people
pro
forget. You ain't lying, man. You ain't lying. That is that. I'm gonna tell you a story. So being from the South, we always used to hear all these horror stories. You go into these little towns, especially if you're black, boy. You go into these little towns, and one of these guys rednecks gonna get you, and they gonna hang you up. That's what we grew up during my time believing. So. We in Alabama, boy. We know what goes on in Alabama. If you black, you better get in the house, boy, before that sun come down, before those street lights come on. You better be inside. One of those guys gonna get you and hang you up. So I'm lost. It's about 6 o'clock. I was supposed to be at the arena at 7 o'clock. So I don't know where I'm going. So I see this. It was a small little building, looked like a little convenience store on this long street. So I pull in. When I pull in, I wanted to ask somebody, how do I get to the arena? Because this was early in WCW day. We didn't have like the telephone. We had to use a paper map. You had to open that crap up and look all through it and try to find out.
The big old book.
Yeah. And so, but the best thing was then I need to ask somebody, where is this arena? So I stopped. I went in this store, and man, it seemed like it was like a dirty barn, an old house with just old chips and Diet Cokes and Coca-Colas and newspaper. And it was a convenience store. So I wanted to buy something before I got these people's attention. Because they were looking at me like they were going to eat me alive. I know for sure. I said, you know what? I got to see if this karate can work today because these boys look like they don't like the way I look. So as I walked by, I got a can. I kept my eye on and went to the back. They kept their eye on me. Then by the time I got up to the front, I went to pay for it. And before I said anything, the whole table jumped. I said, hey, Cat, how you doing? What are y'all doing here? And I said, WCW here is the arena. They said, oh, where? I asked for the ring. Oh, that's like 5 miles down this road. You go left. If you want to, you can follow me. I'm going that way. Man, these guys were so nice. It was like, I had this picture in my head, something about to go down because I looked at something, projected my image in my head, but they will turn out to be the nicest people I've met probably the whole time I've been traveling. It was just, took pictures with them and signed autographs and everything, and it was so funny. Stevie Ray went back to that same place about 3 years later. He was like, hey, Ernest, Cap, man, I stopped in this place, man, and it don't look like a black person had ever been there. I looked on the wall, and here you are taking picture with all the guys in there. They got a picture of you up on the wall. That was the way we traveled on the road, man. We had such great experiences out there, man, that it was so fun. You know, it was fun.
Those are the kind of stories you love to hear. Another thing I had to ask you about, you know, like I mentioned in the beginning of the show, we got to talk with.
I'm drinking a lot of water because I ran 4 miles today.
Hell yeah!
I just finished. I'm going for my black belt in this new karate style called Oyama. I'm a brown belt now. In October, me and Sonny Ono had to go to Japan, and I'll be tested in Japan because that's where the headquarters is at. So when we have a class, man, I mean, you're so dehydrated that, you know, it's real special for me. It's just really hard. You know, it's a hard class. So that's why I'm drinking water.
No problem. I've got a question about that. So you talk about the new style of karate that you're almost to your black belt in. How does the ranking go in that versus, like, I came up in jiu-jitsu. So with us, you got to get like 4 stripes between each belt you go to. How does the belt system work in that one?
Man, you got white, yellow, green, brown, then black. You know, but they got black advanced belts. So they got a brown belt, then they got a brown belt with a stripe, and then a black belt. So, you know, and it take about 6-7 years. And every class, listen, I've taken karate. I got 4 different black belts. And I've taken karate from a lot of different kinds of people. But what I wanted to do is I wanted to strike and do a style that would close to like the maker, the person that developed the style. And Oyama, guys that developed the style is Psycho Shihan Oyama. And he's 87 years old, so he's still around. So that's why I go to Japan and I test in front of him. But this is the hardest style I've ever been involved in, you know, and I've been around a lot of martial arts, a lot of kickboxing training when I used to fight. But this, every class we got a t-shirt that says shut up and sweat. So that's the kind of thing here, man. I mean, the whole thing is just sweat, man, just sweat. So, you know, I'm trying to get my black belt in this style. Not trying to get, I'm going to get my black belt in this style or I'm going to die doing it. I'm trying to get it. So, you know, it's working. I put the hard work in, though. Tuesday nights, man, Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday. I put hard work in. So no matter what I'm doing, I got to go to karate class. And it's so funny. My son, I got a 2-year-old grandson, and my son will ask me sometime, hey, Dad, man, you need to come over and see him on Thursday night. He said, oh, I forgot. You can't come over on Thursday night because you in karate class. A granddaddy can't come see the grandson because he's in the karate class with a bunch of kids.
Hey, man, I mean, it shows how dedicated you are, man. Even though you ain't wrestling full-time no more, you're still getting black belts and all those things as well. That's dope to hear, man. And now, so Sonny Ono's doing it with you as well?
He's not doing, Sonny Ono is not taking the style. He's just going over because Japan is his country. And while we older, we'll probably do a couple of, you know, wrestling gigs, you know, so.
That's awesome, though. I've always heard nothing but good things about Sonny Ono, even when we had Stevie Ray on the show as well. So that's dope to hear. So I got to ask you about that, man. We was chopping up a little bit about it before the show, man. We figured out before we hit the button that one of your teammates is fighting the past guest of this show of ours. Adrian Hajabij is in the main event tonight for Karate Combat against Ross Levine. Talk to me a little bit about that fight. I know you said you know Ross.
Ross is... I've known Ross since he was young in the business. When I was fighting, he was coming up as a kid, and he used to do weapons. He didn't fight. Most guys that does forms and weapons don't usually fight. But this guy kind of flipped the script. He went from forms to weapons, doing collars with weapons to fighting. And he turned out to be a heck of a karate fighter, man. He got so much control in his technique and precise and the way he worked, man, it's just, you could tell he's gonna be a good, he was gonna be a good fighter. And tonight I kind of expect that he gonna probably end up killing your boy. Yo,
There's gonna be a hell of a fight.
That ain't gonna be hell of a fight. That your guy's in for it. I saw your guy too. Your guy look like he needs some help. His kicks are bad, you know, his punches are weak. Man, this is going to be a good fight tonight. You want to bet on it?
Hey man, I'm always down for a little fun. What kind of wager are we doing? Let's do something.
Bro,
That's a fun one.
listen, leave it up to you. I'm a superstar. What do you want to do? You got 75 cents in your jar. Maybe we can do something like that on your salary. You understand what I'm saying?
I got you. I'm cool. I was just thinking of a fun, friendly wager we could do that I can, if I lose or whatever, we can run back on the show.
Now if you lose, you're gonna have to pay up, bro.
Oh, I know. I'm a man of paying my bets. I don't play that way.
You know, back in my early karate days, you know, I was that guy when I was like 20. I was that guy. I was that guy in the neighborhood who go knock on people's doors and collect money from them. Then I turned myself around. I said, you know what? This is not what I want to do. I want to teach karate to kids. I want to develop kids and develop the youth of our community. So I became a karate instructor.
Well, tell me a little bit about that. Weren't you, when we were talking on Tuesday, you were telling me how you were giving out an award out in the community the other day out there in Atlanta?
Oh, you know, we working on a project here in Atlanta to keep some of the young guys off the street, you know, and so all of them love to play basketball. It's a big thing here in Atlanta. Kids like to play basketball, not just in Atlanta, all over the world. So we using basketball as the attraction, but once we get them there, we teaching them how to fill out application, how to look for jobs, you know, and how to make more money. Because we figure this: if they making money and making more money, there's less of a chance they're gonna be out there knocking people over the head trying to take their wallet or breaking into cars, you know, and so we use basketball. It's called Midnight Basketball, Atlanta Midnight Basketball. So, you know, it start at 8 o'clock and end at 12 o'clock. It's a tournament.
That's awesome to hear, man. I work with kids with disabilities, so it's always awesome to see people using their name to be able to help back with the community. Well, talking about Atlanta, man, you've got a hell of a weekend coming up. MLW is rolling in to Atlanta. You got the Battle Riot going down. The Cat is going to be involved along with other past guests of the show, Matt Riddle, and a bunch of other names down there with MLW. Talk to me about working with them and how you feeling about the Battle Riot.
Bro, I'm going to be honest. When they call me, I get calls to do shows all the time. You know, I just came back from Dubai. I did a show in Dubai. I just came back from Australia. I went over Australia and did a show. I did Philadelphia WrestleMania at WrestleCon in Philadelphia during WrestleMania weekend. So it's always jobs and things to do. But you know, this time around right here, when they call and ask me to do this show in this MLW, right?
Yes, sir.
I've never heard of that. I never heard of it. But the guy who called me said, hey, they're a pretty good crew, and it's right here in Atlanta. You don't have to leave home. And I was like, you know what? I said, what you want me to do? They said, we want you to do something in the ring. I said, well, I don't want to do anything in the ring. Then something popped, a light went on in my head. I said, you know what? I got a grandson that's 2 years old. This'd be a good time and the last time that he can probably see his granddad in the ring. So as he grow older, they can always say, hey, you remember that time you went to watch your granddad wrestle in the ring? So this is an opportunity to do that. So I call him back and say, yes, I'll do it. I'm going to have my grandson, 2-year-old grandson right down the front row.
That's so awesome, dude. And like you said, it's the memories, man. And I got to imagine for a guy like you that's been in the business as long as you have, it's about the memories. It's about the moments and the things that you can still create.
No, baby. No, it's about the money. You hear what I'm saying? It ain't about the memory. I'd have had enough. Listen, I'd have had enough memory. I've been doing this for so long, man. I've done things, been places people can only dream of. But now it's all about the money. If you want to get the cat up and get the cat moving, pay me my money. Where's my money?
I love it, dude. All right. Well, I guess that means before I get you out of here, we gotta come up with a wager on this fight right quick.
Oh, man. You probably watching the fight. Is the fight over?
I don't have it on right now. Let me see. I can pull it up and see where they're at.
No, the fight is going on. See, I don't trust you, kid. I like you, but I don't trust you. For some reason, you look like you would stab me in the back.
Oh, never, man. Never at all.
Like you already try to place yourself in the same order of fight world that I'm in. You try to put yourself right there with the cat.
I didn't mean it that way, man.
Okay, well.
And what I didn't mean it as anything disrespectful. I was just trying to talk about how being around fighting just helps with mentality. That's all.
Well, it does. It does.
That's all I was trying to say. It helped me out a ton, and I was just trying to correlate it to how it helped me through the rest of life. That's all.
Like I said, I'm drinking a lot of water because I'm thirsty, and I might be a little lightheaded. You never know. So maybe
it's all good.
Maybe I took it the wrong way, and I might want to apologize to you.
It's all good, my man. I appreciate it. Like I said, I didn't mean nothing.
I'm not going to apologize anyway. You damn right. It's okay. It ain't nothing you can do about it, kid. You understand? Listen, ain't nobody out there. There's one thing they'll tell you about the cat in pro wrestling. There's nobody ever in the business who want to go head to head with me. I'm a shooter.
I don't either.
You know what a shooter is?
Yes, sir. Somebody who can really fight.
That's what that's who I am. You know that. Right?
I understand that. I understand.
There's nobody ever in the business who want to shoot with me. Never.
I got all the respect in the world for what you did, man. I didn't mean anything disrespectful of it. I was just saying how the mindset of being around fighting had helped me and how that helps through life. That's all. That's all.
You know what I understand. I think too, when a guy can fight or a woman, when they can fight, they can do all other sports great too. A lot of things because they got the confidence. Not that they want to be not that they want to be a bully. They want to bully people around. But it's just so funny how when people can fight, you can tell by anything that they do, they got the confidence.
Because they know if shit hits the fan, they know they're good. I mean, for me having Crohn's and CP, man, it helped my world. Anything happened, I knew I could take care of myself. So it's just that knowing. It's just that knowing. And that's the only point I was making is just knowing that you can do it, knowing that if shit hits the fan and somebody tries to go, I don't know, grab your wallet, whatever it is.
Kid, take it easy. I'm only joking, man. Come on, bro. How you going to have a wrestler on there and you look at her, you about to piss your pants. You about to piss you actually scared. Look at you. I see the sweat beaming off your little
sweating at all. I got lights.
Forehead. I see it.
I ain't trying to catch a round kick from the cat. No.
Your lips white, your eyes all glassy.
Oh, Lord.
Kid, you afraid, man. You probably... Did the cat make you shit your pants?
Not at all, bro. Not at all.
Okay, all right. All right,
hey, man, okay. I appreciate it, man. We've kept you for quite a while, man. I'm looking forward to seeing what you got going down this weekend with MLW and everything that's going down in Atlanta. So before I let you get out of here, man, let everybody know what the cat's got going on, where they can check you out, where they can check the podcast out.
The best place to come, YouTube, the Cat's Corner podcast, my social media, Ernest the Cat Miller, Instagram. I have everything on there that I'm doing and what's coming up. And never tell her, I might be in a city next to you, close to you. Come see me. Come see me.
You got to do it, man. It was great to see the cat, Glacier, and the boys out here when the Unbreakable bunch was in town. We got to see the cat back here for some wrestling, man. Hey, I'm looking forward to seeing what you got.
Bro, listen here, man. It was nice meeting you. I enjoyed meeting you, man. And thanks for having me on this podcast. And, I wish you luck with what you're doing, too. And I hope joking all aside, man, I hope your mother, come out. I know she having some problem with her, so I hope things turn out really good with her.
Much appreciated, man. We just got good news today. She's doing all right. They said all the checks are coming back well. It's going to take us a little bit of time of healing up, but hey, man, I'll take it. She's still here. We had the heart attack. She survived. That means we're on to good things. I'm looking forward to this weekend. If you're in the Michigan area, Lights Out Championship 15, I will be on the call. Spectation Sports, make sure you check it out before Austin Bashy makes his way over to the UFC. We got another Dana White Contender Series prospect on the way. If you're in the Mitten, you got to come check out some fights. So with that said, good night, good fight. Hit that subscribe button. Peace.